Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Wednesday workshop. Excuse me, I'm Diana. So happy to have you with us this evening. Let me just turn that off for a moment. Hi, everybody. If you are just joining us, we're so glad. We're just literally starting right at 6 o'clock. So we'll be here probably the better part of an hour, but I try not to keep you longer than that. So I'm thrilled that you are here. Go ahead in the comments and say, hi, I'm so-and-so from so-and-so, or hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm new, or whatever you want to say. So we know that you're here and we can say hello back to you. We'd love to do that. If you are brand new, welcome. We're so glad to have you as part of the Build a Quilt community this evening, and we hope you decide to stay much longer. And to all of our folks that are with us every week or as often as possible, welcome back, everybody. Of course, we love having you with us as well. So, gosh, it's been a week already. Is it just Wednesday? It's just Wednesday, right? I'm exhausted, guys. I'm kind of brain dead. And that's because, so I didn't know this last Wednesday, but I've been on jury duty. Yeah. What a time. In fact, we've got some folks checking in. Let's say hello. Hello to our good friend Sue over in Indiana. I hope you guys are having good weather. Sue, did you get that nasty storm that came through yesterday? We had a real humdinger of a thunderstorm almost all afternoon and into the evening long. And we got some really heavy rain, a little bit of hail. So I hope you all are okay over there. And we have our good friend Rosemarie from Illinois. She's just north of us here in Illinois, aren't you, Rose? I think so. So glad to have you with us as well. Sue says, yes, they got that storm. Yeah, it was a humdinger. It certainly was. Dave got home just in time to get the car in the garage before we had a little bit of hail. It wasn't like the big hail, but it was that teeny stuff that can really ping your paint job up. And then we have our good friend Kathy with us. Hi, Kathy from stormy North Carolina. So you guys are getting those storms too. I'm so sorry to hear that. Man, it's been a summer of weather, has it not been? Holy smokes. Well, I'm glad you all are here. I think our temperature finally came down. We've been in the 90s with heat index in the hundreds for like 6 weeks now. It's been horrible. And today it was finally 82. I didn't know what to do with myself. It was crazy. Actually, I did know what to do with myself. I was working all day. But oh my goodness, it's just been crazy. But it's so good to be with you guys this evening. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So as I was just saying, I had jury duty. So that's always interesting. I'm the kind of person that says, you know what, if you ask me to come to jury duty, I just do it. As citizens, we get asked very little for our citizenship. Our citizenship is, we, like some countries, you have to buy it or you have to be given it by a king or someone like that, or it's not an automatic thing necessarily. But here in the United States, I feel like we're so lucky to be citizens. And so if I'm asked to do jury duty, I will. And I got picked. Again, I usually get picked. So that's why my head is kind of just exhausted, because trying to pay really good attention, trying to figure out exactly what the lawyers are telling us and exactly what the judge is telling us the law is when we went to deliberations, all that kind of stuff. It's just, it's too much for my poor little brain anymore, I'm afraid. But anyway, that's over. But it put me behind a good couple of days in my Build a Quilt work. So I've been working all day really hard, and yesterday really hard trying to get set up. So glad. Oh, I see you guys are saying hello to each other. I love that. I love that you guys are forming your little community. I think it's wonderful, because here at Build a Quilt, I feel like that's what we're about. We're about community as a group, and I love having each and every one of you with us. So anyway, that's over. We're gone Saturday, so my week has not ended yet. It's going to be a full week, but we get to go and see my brother-in-law, Steve, on Saturday. We've not seen him in years. He is Dave's younger brother. And so we get to go visit. It's a few-hour drive from here to see him, but we're very excited. Now, he's Dave's baby brother. He is the same age as my baby brother, and they're in their 50s. But I still consider them our baby brothers. So I'm very excited about that. But I won't be around on Saturday. if you need me and you contact me through an email, it could be that I don't get back to you on Saturday or Sunday, but I get back to you on Monday. If I can, if it's something simple and I'm in the car and Dave's driving and I can do it, then I certainly will. But I just wanted to give you that heads up because this is really exciting for us to get to go and see Dave's brother, my dear little brother-in-law, who's like 53. So anyway, that's great. So I hope you all have been good. Let us know in the comments, anything exciting going on that you want to share with us. Now, without saying names and things like that, because I think that's inappropriate of me to do so. We have a member, a Build a Quilt family member here. She and her family are going through a very rough time right now. And so if you can just be sending some good thoughts out into the universe for our Build a Quilt family member, I think she would appreciate it. I know she would appreciate it. But she didn't tell me like that I could say specifics or names, so I'm just not going to. But just know that I feel like if you guys know and you think about it and you send out those good vibes, prayers, whatever, then I think somehow they'll work their way to them and hopefully things in life will get better for them soon. So wanted to share that briefly. Anything else that I wanted to share that's just like not Build a Quiltish? Oh, I do have something to share. Do you guys know the artist Michael Parks? He's from Missouri. He went to school at the University of Kansas. He's like my age, old as dirt, right? Sorry, Michael. He'll never see this, but sorry. If I'm old as dirt and you're as old as me, you're old as dirt too. But he and his wife and their daughter, they've lived in Spain for decades. So, but he is a really famous artist. And he had a new book of his, like, all his work come out. It's a beautiful, my copy came today. So there are two artists that I love, artists in general. There are two artists that just like make me sob because they bring me so much joy. Marc Chagall, look up Chagall, you'll know Chagall. He's a classic painter. And Michael Parks. And his type of is called magical reality, I believe is the type. Kind of a Dutch masters, but magical. It's just gorgeous. We have several of his pieces in our home and I love them. And anyway, my book came today. It was because I got to pre-order it because there's only a few hundred going out. And so I got to order it. I'm very excited. It was beautiful. And he does have a painting called Diana. So not because of me, but you know, I kind of like to think so. Anyway, so that came today. That was lots of fun. Don't you love seeing stuff when you get stuff that you've ordered? Like I had forgotten about it because you had to pre-order it. Like I think I pre-ordered it back in the winter. And so I had forgotten about it. And I didn't even know they were starting to send them out. And mine showed up today. I was very excited about that. Okay, so enough of that. But if you have anything you want to share with the group, put it over in the comments and we'll share with the group for sure. Now, I do have some fun little memes, cartoons for us tonight. So I found out, I told you I was having a hard time finding like cute little things for us. I kept running into the same ones all the time. Well, instead of typing in quilting meme, if I type in quilting cartoon, I get a lot of really cute ones. And I think I've got a lot more that I can go through, but I found 3 of them tonight that I thought was pretty good. And this first one, if you've been a quilter for a little bit of time, which I'm guessing a lot of our regulars probably have been. Some of you I know are new that are regulars, but you'll understand this one. Here we go. It says, we had one of these last week too, the little tomato pin cushion talking to the sewing machine. The pin cushion says, how many quilts is it going to take to make her happy? And the sewing machine says, I don't know, but so far it's not 93. I got a kick out of that because as quilters, can there ever really be enough quilts, right? I don't think so. When my dear beloved grandmother, the one who taught me to quilt, passed away, there were over 300 quilts and tops that she left us behind. Yeah, that's a lot. And that was probably like not even a third of what she had done in her lifetime. It's incredible. I mean, she was constantly quilting. So you guys will know that if you've been quilting for a while. You might not have done 93, but that idea there, I don't know. So I see it like this. I don't know, but it sure ain't 93. That's how Dave would say it to me. It sure ain't 93. So I thought that one was cute. I wanted to share that one with you guys. You can comment on these if you want. You like them, or if you think they're stupid or whatever. Don't say they're stupid. Be nice, because they're not my cartoons. They're just ones I've picked. And somebody, I found some today, though, that you could tell that the person that did the cartoon wasn't a quilter, because they said my patchwork blanket and things like that. So let's see. What's our next? In fact, I think that might be one. No, it's not one of them. Oh, so I thought this one was funny. It says, I fixed your favorite work pants, honey. Aren't you lucky to have a quilter in the family? So now, if you're of a certain age, if you grew up in the 70s, you know that when our blue jeans got torn, we didn't let the holes show, right? We patched them up. Usually we took an old pair of denim and we put a patch on them. Or if you were one of us like groovy hippie girls, we would take little pieces of calico cotton and patch that over there. So I got a giggle out of this one, because I thought, man, if I had been doing, I mean, I was quilting, but if I had thought about it, my jeans could have been really cool back then if I would have patched them up with actual patchwork blocks. So I thought that one was rather funny. So, and yes, so now I will say this. My friends know not to come to me and say, can you hem my pants, or can you put in a zipper for me? Because when they hear quilting, they hear sewing. And although I can do those things, I don't do those things. I'll do them for Dave and I, and that's where that ends. Otherwise, figure out how to sew yourself. But I don't do that. But I thought this one was rather cute. I liked it. I thought it was funny. And I think Dave would probably go, yeah, that's fun. And he would wear them. I bet you money Dave would wear something like that. Alrighty, hang on. Let's bring up our last one, our last little cartoon. Now, this one, you guys will get. Can I get this quilt? Can I get this quilt top on the long arm today? I have a baby shower at noon tomorrow. Holy mackerel. And then the other person says, you don't need a long arm. You need a time machine. Oh, yeah. So, I quilt all my own quilts on my embroidery machine. You might do your embroidery machine. You may do your sewing machine. You may do by hand. Please, if you're taking a quilt top to a long armor or to a local store that will let you use, don't do it the day before you need it. For goodness sakes, be kind. Give them like a couple weeks before you do that. So I thought that one was rather a chuckle. And I thought, yes, you need a time machine for sure. Like, go back 2 weeks and ask me if you can do it. So, and then down the bottom, it says, no crying at the cutting table. Oh, I didn't see that till just now, right down here. No crying at the cutting table. I like that one too. Let's see what we got. Kathy says, sorry, Kathy, that you're freezing up. If the storms are too much, dear, you can always rewatch later if you need to. You know that. Stay with us as much as you can. But if it gets too bad, in fact, if the storm gets too bad, you need to go to a safe place. Please do that, because this will always be there. Oh, my goodness. Look who's here, guys. Our good friend T is here. She says, hello, everyone. I've missed y'all. T, my friend, we missed you too. We're so glad you're with us tonight. We were just going through the memes for this evening. And this is our last one. It says, can I get a quilt top on the long arm today? I have a baby shower at noon tomorrow. And the person saying, you don't need a long arm. You need a time machine. Oh, my goodness. That is so crazy, right? And then down here, I love this. No crying at the cutting table. I kind of like that one. I might have to make that as a little banner in my room. No crying at the cutting table for myself, because sometimes I can get really frustrated, right? Aren't you guys the same way? You get frustrated and you're like, yeah, I can get that way. All right. So those were our 3 little cartoons for this evening. I hope you guys liked them. Whoever this person is that does these does a pretty good job on them, I thought. But the one I saw today said something about I've got to get this patchwork blanket made. And I thought that person isn't a quilter because they would never call it a blanket. I don't think so. Anyway, so, okay, a quick announcement. Quilt Labbers, your how-to video for this month's mini quilt is out. You should have received your email with the link to get your pattern yesterday. It's all over in the members area on the website. So you just go over to the log in, the drop down box, Quilt Lab, boom, there you go. And so you all can see it. This is this month's 9x9 mini quilt, right? I didn't get mine quilted yet, but this is the top. It is the cone flower. So in the video, guys, I show you like a real cone flower in this one. Can I just say, I'm really chuffed, as my British friends would say, about this particular one. It is like my new favorite. I loved putting this one together. I really loved it. But you guys, all that is over there. Thank you for everyone sending me your addresses, because tomorrow for Quilt Labbers, I'm going to start sending out your packages. Okay. So I just I wanted to wait and get everything else. So let's see, what do we got going on? Life has been life, but all is all. Oh, T, yes, dear. I understand. I understand about life. Life has lifed for me all summer long. I'm just not even kidding. In fact, something else happened this week and it ends up being my fault. Well, it's not a fault thing, but I'm responsible for it. I guess you could say so. Anyway, just crazy. Oh, you like this one, T? Yeah, I like it too. It's my favorite so far. It's in our little flower series. I love it. So that's it. It's called the cone flower, AKA, if you know what a cone flower, the other name for a cone flower is, put it in the comments. I'd like to see if somebody else knows. I let you guys know in the video for Quilt Lab. So if you haven't watched it yet, you won't have seen that. But do you know what the other name for a cone flower is? I'll give you guys time to, I should have asked that maybe as a question of the week, but I have something else for the question of the week this week. And then one more announcement. I want to make sure everybody knows that the due date for your inspiration challenge is August 22nd. That's coming up 16, 17, 18, 19, 21. Yeah, this next week, guys. So it's really, I haven't received any things yet. You've got till the end of the day on the 22nd, but get your pieces in, okay? And there is a video here on the channel that tells you all about it. I'm not going to go into all the details again tonight because I did that again last week. But just to remind you, the due date for your submission, and it's just a mini quilt. It's just this little guy, that size. So it's small. You can do it in an afternoon and be done. Put it in there. You might win our brand new Build a Quilt mini basic set. So it's going to be, let me set that aside, our big basic combo set, but in mini sizes, like tiny little sizes. So that's going to be 3 of the grand prizes. Then we have some other prizes too. So you don't want to miss out on that. Okay. So remember to get that in by the 22nd, your email with your picture and all the other stuff that it tells you over in that little video. Okay. I wanted to make sure. And the winners are going to be announced on August 31st. I'm going to go live. I'll try and tell you beforehand when I'm going to go live on that day. I just haven't decided yet. It's a Sunday, so I haven't really looked at the calendar for an exact time yet, but it will be on the 31st. All righty. Okay. So those are our announcements I wanted to share. We've shared our memes. Now we are on episode 3, if you want to call it an episode, of Filler Blocks. So let's just turn around here a little bit. So the first week, we talked about 2 different ways that you can make and use a pinwheel. This one is the inset pinwheel, and the other one was just the 4 half square triangles that make a pinwheel. We talked about that one. Last week, we talked about the churn dash and why I think it's better as a filler than the primary, or what we like to call the fancy blocks, right? So we've talked about pinwheel and The churn dash. Sorry, it's hard to point and get it to the right place. And the churn dash. So that's what we've been talking about for the first 2 weeks. Now, tonight, see how those are like a single block, a single design, right? That's what we've been talking about. We're still going to talk about a single block tonight, but a block that's actually a multi-segment block. And I have several examples for you because I want you to see that you can come up with lots of different filler blocks just by using your basic combo set. Because remember, you've got 6 different segments. You've got the square, the half square, and the quarter square triangle. You've got the flying geese, the split rail, and the diamond in a square. And they all come in 3 and 4 different sizes. So these all come in 4 sizes. These all come in 3 sizes. You have all of that in the set. So if you need to make it smaller, your filler block, you can do that. If you need to make it bigger to match the size of your quilt block, you can do that as well, your fancy quilt block. So I have several of them to show you tonight, and I want to kind of break them down a little bit and kind of tell you what they are, so that if you want to note this down and you want to like keep this idea on hand for making fillers for your quilts, you'll have this information. Or just to give you the inspiration on things you can do to make up your own filler blocks when you're designing your own quilt. I keep getting questions about, I'm trying to design my own quilt. What would I do here? What would I do there? Well, this little series we're doing on fillers should help you kind of do that. Typically, coming up with your fancy blocks, if you're designing a quilt, it's pretty easy. You see something, you know you like a certain thing, and you go with it. And the first time you design your own quilt, don't make it super complicated. Choose like 1 or 2 kinds of fancy blocks and call it a day and make everything else your filler. But your filler can be kind of not difficult, but a little bit of a challenge on what you want it to do with the quilt. So it can just represent background. We've talked about that. It can represent the background and other fabrics from your quilt that bleed into your other blocks to like make a secondary design. That is my favorite way to make a filler block, because I just go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. When I see a quilt and I stand back and I kind of let my eyes glaze over and I see that secondary design, it's so cool and it's so pretty. So that's one of the ways I like to use filler blocks. But you could just use filler blocks to like keep one color going, keep another color going in another way. So I have some different ones to show you tonight. So this very first one, super duper easy. You've got everything you need in your combo set. Now I made a big one. These are all kind of bigger blocks so you can see them. This one is made out of basically kind of 3 different segments. Let's start here. This could be a 4 patch, right? You could do 2 blocks here, 2 blocks here. But what I've done is 2 blocks, 2 small squares, and half of a split triangle, so that this is all one color. Instead of doing 2 pieces, I did it all one color. And this is a secondary. This block is actually a block I call a bento box. You know how a bento box, you get it and it's got all the little compartments for your lunch or your snacks. That's what I call this. So these secondary pieces in here that really are the background fabric, or would be, that's just your split rail. Now I used the same fabric. I could have used just squares there, but I used it this way to make sure that I get everything to match up. So split rail in my 4 cardinal directions. And this one is half a split rail and 2 small squares. And then in the center is just 1 square. Now, could this be your pretty fancy block? I think it's a little plain Jane to do that. I don't know why Jane's, I guess it kind of rhymes, but it's a little plain. We won't put somebody's name with it. Here, link up there. Now you can see my butterfly right side up. I think it is a little plain as a fancy block. However, If you use this as a filler block, look what happens when you start to put these blocks tip to tip. So if I had another one here, this pattern would start going in a diagonal. This pattern over here would start going in a diagonal. So you're going to end up with kind of a lattice design within your quilt, giving you that, not necessarily a secondary design, but you get the overall idea that there's a lattice design within your quilt, which can be really pretty. When you do things like this and you get that lattice design going, that really takes the place and takes away the need to think about sashing between blocks. Now, we have not always done a lot of sashing between blocks. I've put it in some of our designs here and there, but I like sashing in a quilt. I think it looks really pretty. It adds sashing, again, adds some of that background fabric into the quilt. But when you do blocks like this and get a lattice design going within the quilt, that completely negates the need for sashing, right? Because a sashing would break up your lattice, and it wouldn't look like a lattice anymore. But this block really works. So all you need is your squares, your split rail, half a split rail, and a square, and you can put that one together. Super simple. Okay. And that's what I just did this for a quilt. Some of these are blocks that I've had left over from quilts that I made like several years ago. And this was a sample from a class I taught a while back, like 6 years ago, maybe. But that one is a simple filler right here. If you want to, you can see I've kind of fussy cut my butterfly in there. Perfect. If you don't want a fussy cut, maybe you have other fabrics in your design set like these and you want one in here, that would be pretty as well. So whatever you want. So that bento box, what I call a bento box one, is fine. Now this one is not exactly a snowball or a diamond in a square, but it's very similar. So you could do this next filler that I'm going to show you with either a snowball block, which we've done in the past, and I think that pattern is still out on the website, or what you have in this set is your diamond in a square, and you could certainly use this one. But it's this one. I call it my hugs and kisses block because it's so. All right, somebody remind me, hugs are the X's and kisses are the O's, or is it vice versa? I can never keep it straight. I've never been able to, but I call this one just my hugs and kisses block because it's like an X, right? So if I had this, I could use it in a hugs and kisses quilt. So this would look really good if you made it with a snowball block. It's not going to look quite the same if you make it with a diamond in a square. But the key to this one is to make sure one corner in each block is the same fabric so that it comes together as an on-point square in the middle. And this again is lovely. This would represent your background fabric. This could represent an unused fabric within the fabric collection. Maybe there's you've chosen a pattern and you're going to use some of the blocks in a pattern you really like, or you've chosen a collection, but you have other fabric patterns left. That happens a lot. Like when you buy a full collection, I always buy Tula's full collection, typically buy Lori Holt's full collections. Those can be 21 different fabrics. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of fabric. I don't ever use 21 fabrics in one quilt, but that gives me a chance when I am making a quilt to choose one other fabric from that collection, which I know is going to match perfectly. So I don't even have to think about the color stuff, right? If I want to just do it and be done and not worry about color, going with a curated collection is the way to go. But you know that you can pick your colors because we've talked about that a lot. And I know you guys have it within you to pick your own colors. So you could pick a different fabric to make this, which you know is going to blend really well. If you made it darker, it might sink into the quilt and then allow your fancy blocks, your main blocks, to really shine. Or it might be something that really pops out because it's going to give you that secondary kind of a quilt look as well. So I really like this one. I recommend grabbing that snowball block to get this one. And I don't remember, guys. I think it might be a free block, but don't quote me. Check it out. I'll give you the website at the end and you can check it out. But this one I think works. It's just 4 of those blocks, but one corner in each block is made with the same fabric so that they all come together as that square on point. So I like that one a lot. Now, this next one, super duper easy, super duper basic, but boy, can it really change your quilt. And that's this one. It is 2 half square triangles and 2 4 patches, right? The most often used segment in quilting and the simplest, easiest in quilting, right? The square. But this, the reason I like this one is just take a look at that block and tell me what you see in the comments about this block. What is this block going to do to your quilt? It should be pretty obvious because I can see it just holding it up. But then again, I know what it does. But it should be pretty simple to see. Your 4 patches are making this diagonal line. This isn't going to give you that lattice look, but what it is going to give you is this secondary pattern of these diagonal lines through your quilt. So you won't get them going both directions necessarily, but it will give you that single line. And then in your half square triangle, most likely you'll want this part, the color part, to be something that is, so whatever fabric is in your square that it's going to sit next to, if you make this the same fabric that it's touching, then you're going to get a secondary look from this one. Super duper simple. A 4 patch, a half square triangle, and a 4 patch and another half square triangle. Super duper simple to make this one. And with all the sizes that you have, it'll be super easy to make. So in the thing, so if you do the 4-inch square or the 4-inch half square triangle, do the 2-inch squares to make a 4-inch 4 patch. Okay, that's how that works. Super simple, easy peasy math. Nobody has to worry about it. Now, if I held it like this, if I put it this way, you see how my diagonal goes in the other direction? And then all that white represents background fabric. So you get a whole nother nice design. This is a great filler block. I actually really like using this one. It comes together really easily. And it's a great one to add that extra detail into your quilt. Okay, now I have one more. We're going to get done early tonight because I don't see any questions coming up. If you guys have questions, please pop them in. Or maybe you want to be done early tonight too. I don't know. This one is simple. It consists of 2 segments. So the whole idea with all of these so far is there have been multiple segments in there. So in this one, it was the half square triangle and the 4 patch. This one is all the same segment, but you switch it up a little bit. So that one is kind of not a multiple segment, but it's the color is switched up a little bit. This one was also a multiple segment one. So instead of having something like the turn dash or the pinwheel, which is a block in and of itself, these are created with multiple little segments. And this last one, I think we might have done this in something last year. I don't remember though. But this one is 2 segments from the combo set, from side 2. From this side, it's the diamond in a square and the split rail. Are you ready for it? Here we go. That's this one. Now look at it. Now look at it this way. what's going on with this one? This one's kind of interesting, right? So here is your diamond in a square. Here is your diamond in a square. Here is your split rail. Here is your second split rail. So on this one, if you make your diamond in a square fabric on these 2 points, touch the same fabric as this piece of your split rail, you end up getting this jog line in your quilt. Kind of takes the place again of the sashing idea, but it gives you that whole interesting little look. And look at this one. With the diamond in a square, you end up with a line going straight across your fabric, once again on the diagonal. Now, if I flip it like this, your jog line, instead of going vertical, goes horizontal. So depending on how you place it within your quilt, you can either have a vertical line, or you can have a horizontal line in your quilt. And either way, so if you have it horizontal, your line is going to go this way. And if you have your vertical, your line will go this way. Your secondary line will go this way. And then this yellow would be your background fabric. Okay. Or maybe the blue is your background fabric and this is a fabric somewhere else in the quilt. That could be the case too. Your background fabric doesn't always have to be the majority of the fabric in your filler block. It's just part of it. So it could be that the yellow is not the background, it's the blue. And the background is making these secondary looks within the quilt. Okay, any questions at all? So except for this snowball one, the Hugs and Kisses one, all the segments that I've shown you in these come from our Build a Quilt combo set. So you can play around with them and make them however you want. So what I suggest, so here's my tip for you. One, if you like any of these, you can write down what's within them, choose your fabrics, make them whatever size you want, and try them in your quilt. But what I suggest with these is that you make yourself 2 to 4 of all of your segment pieces. I know that's a lot, but it's really good practice, and it's a really good way to use up some scrap fabric, because then when you want to figure out your filler block, you can take out those prototypes and you can play with them and see what you like, see what you come up with. Now, you can always draw it out and things like that, but I would rather play with fabric than the drawing idea. So if you've got enough to make a few split rails in the same, try to make like all your split rails in the same fabric, all of these in the same fabrics, so that when you play together, your fabrics are going to match up. It'll be a lot easier for you to see patterns and stuff if you do that. If you just make them all willy-nilly different fabrics of scrap fabric, it's going to be harder for you to see the overall detail of how that piece is going to work in your quilt. But if you make yourself about 4, so 1, 2, 3, you'd be making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you'd be making 24 prototype squares. That's easy. You can do that in a day, and then you have a set. Sorry, I've got to cut my bangs. I keep getting hair in my eyes. So sorry. Those 24 prototype pieces are going to allow you to play and figure out what you want to do for filler blocks within your quilt. Now, make them all the same size so that you can work them together, right? Make like all of, if you're going to do like these squares, make sure that your 4 patch ends up being the same size as whatever your half square triangle is going to be. Okay. It just helps to work it out that way. But make them the same size so you can work them together, and you'll find it's a lot easier to plan out what you want to do with your quilt as far as your non-fancy blocks. Because like I said, that can be the challenge. What do you want that to do? It's the filler. Do you want it to make another design within the quilt? Do you want it just to be background? If you want it just to be background, make yourself some big squares and call it a day. Seriously. And that's fine because sometimes that's all you want. You could do like a four patch of half square triangles. You know how a half square triangle can make lots of different shapes just depending on which side touches which side. So that's your challenge for this week. Take your Build a Quilt combo basic set, make yourself 24 prototype squares from your scrap fabric or whatever fabric you want to use. Maybe you want them all to be the same fabric and all to be matchy-matchy. Cool. I'm down with that as well. Whatever you want. But then make them, keep them either in your binder if you've printed out your instructions and all, or keep them in a little case, whatever you want to do, so that you have them when you want to play around. And not only can you use those little prototype pieces as working out filler, you can also use them to work out maybe a brand new fancy block that no one's ever seen before. And that's like the fun of Build a Quilt, because Build a Quilt really is kind of like a big jigsaw puzzle, and you get to put it together. We can make really classic blocks if we want to, but we can turn around and make things like the mini quilt for Quilt Lab this week or this month. This is a pretty simple block. It's a snowball. It's 4 flying geese, and then that is the big difference. That's the part that I created. So basically I have an 8-point star and 4 really fancy little corner blocks, but that is what made this block completely different and what you've probably never seen before. So you can do that when you have those little patches, those little segment pieces to play with. Okay. So I have a whole container of them, and that's what I do when I start to design either something for Build a Quilt for all of you and for us to work on, or when I'm designing a quilt for myself or as a gift. That's part of my design process, is working with those fabric pieces that I already have. All right, everybody, that is this week's multiple segment filler piece. All righty. Okay, are you ready for question of the week? Let me bring it up and I will explain it to you because you might not get why I'm asking it. Question of the week. Let's take that back. So for all of you that are new here, question of the week, you answer in the comments. We all have fun talking about them. They're not anything like serious or anything like that. Nothing like, well, I guess it's personal because it's your preference, but not like your personal info stuff, right? And then I spin a little wheel and somebody will win a prize for the week randomly, because there are no bad answers. I love hearing all your answers. You guys tickle me on some of your answers in a good way. And then some of you like totally inspire me to think about things differently. So I hope you enjoyed as much as I do. But this week's question is, and go ahead and start putting in your answers, ocean or mountains? So here's how I came up with this. Dave and I have lived on both coasts and near oceans. I am a total water person. Okay. Going and sitting at the beach, just sitting there like on an afternoon, not in my bathing suit, just going in shorts or jeans or whatever, and sitting and watching the waves and listening to the water is the most peaceful, calming thing in the world to me. I love it. But we've also lived in the Great Pacific Northwest, and between the Olympic Mountains and the Cascade Mountains and the mountains up in Canada, which we've hiked around, gorgeous as well. And that's what really gets Dave. Dave is a total mountain guy. He likes water, but he's a total mountain guy. And I love going into the mountains too. But if I had my choice, I'd be ocean. He'd be mountains. We both like the other. So, we can work those things in. So if you were going on a vacation, let's say, or you wanted to find your happy place, where would that be? At the ocean or in the mountains? Let us know in the comments, and I'll give you a few minutes.